Good evening, good night, everyone. Let me wipe y'all off real quick. All right. Welcome back to another week of The Women Are Out of Control. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to set the tone for the space. The Women Are Out of Control is a conversation series for women who've lived under control, whether that's religious control, relational control, cultural control, and are now finding their way back to themselves. In these conversations, we talk about faith, we talk about power, we talk about obedience, and what it costs to be free. Some stories include experiences with high control religions, abuse, or spiritual harm. And I want to say this gently: take care of yourself as you listen. Pause if you need to, step away if something feels heavy. There is no right way to engage, only an honest way. This series isn't about exposing or attacking institutions, it's about telling the truth and making room for healing, agency, clarity. And these aren't stories of rebellion so much as they're stories of remembrance, remembering who you are and coming back to yourself. So, whether you're here because you've lived it, or you're questioning what you were taught or what you're going to do next, or you're simply listening with an open heart, you are welcome here. Let's begin. Tonight's guest is a longtime friend of mine, Aisha Gaines. Tonight, she is showing up to us in a different layer of her spiritual journey, in a layer of autonomy, wholeness, and finding herself again, returning to her body. But to get there, she had to journey through a religious experience and a spiritual awakening. So tonight, she is going to share some of her story with us, and hopefully, this encourages and inspires others to reclaim your power, remember yourself, and step back into your freedom. All right. Good evening, Aisha.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Relaxed on
Yes, yes,
my
yes.
blue couch today.
Yes, I love that blue. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I have a dark green one like
Oh,
that.
I want a green couch and I want an orange couch so bad. They are coming. I feel them.
Yes, yes, yes. Orange is my favorite color, so I'm gonna call
Mine
that
too.
in for you for sure.
Mine too. I'm definitely an
Yes.
orange girl.
Yes, yes. It's real special, real special.
Uh-huh.
So before we begin, Aisha, um, before we begin talking about your experience with the church,
Mhm.
I always want to make sure that these conversations are centered around the woman and who you are.
Yeah.
So we can begin by telling us who you are now and who are you becoming on the other side of a high control situation.
Ooh. Okay. Well, I am mostly liberated. I say I'm in like the 80% now, 80 to 85% liberation club. Um I did not used to be liberated. I was very bound in a lot of ways, cognitively, spiritually, just, you know, definitely not liberated. Um and then I'm a healer with multiple modalities to help people heal. And what I'm learning about the way I help people heal, I love walking in tandem with them, um, to go down those different, rabbit holes as best as I can to support them. And it's very special. I hadn't realized, I hadn't realized that that's how I help people heal. Like I thought initially it was I give people the tools and then they go do it and then they let you know how it goes. And it's like, oh no, no, no. It's a little more than that. And so that's the best way I can it's just so many different ways that I can do it with I'm grateful to be able to have so many modalities. Um to help people, but I'm definitely I'm right here with you in a way that honors my own boundaries,
Mhm.
and is ethically sound, but Yeah, I be in the trenches with the folks. We both got our boots on. Let's go.
Yeah, it sounds like not only are you a healer, but also a guide.
Oh yeah, for sure. Thank you
Like,
for giving me
let
the
me
language.
guide
Yes.
you through. And what's so beautiful, so I did feminine success for
Mhm.
years and years and years. And I had what I thought was a clear view
Mhm.
of the feminine and the purpose of the feminine and the purpose of the masculine and all of those things. And then diving deeper into it,
Yeah.
what you learn is that, because I've always said femininity is not a performance and it's not a uniform.
Yeah. Agreed.
However, until I studied and really got clear on what femininity was,
Mm.
I was still teaching performance, even though I didn't realize it.
Wow.
Because so much of what we are taught is feminine is really colonization and control dressed
Yes.
up as positivity, beauty,
Yes.
all of these things. But the true feminine is exactly what you're explaining here.
Mm.
To truly return to your feminine power, you have to go through that unraveling and descent.
Yep. That's
And
good.
what you're sharing, because you went through it yourself, is
Mm-hmm.
that now you're able to guide others through that process.
Yeah.
Because when we're healing, of course, everyone wants to address the symptom. But
Yeah.
when we're truly healing, we got to get up under that
Mm-hmm.
wound and look at what's really under here. And that can be
Mm-hmm.
the most painful part.
It can. I see a lot of my clients. I'm a mental health therapist by day, but I just feel like that doesn't summarize, all that I am as I'm
Hmm.
guiding. Um, and a lot of my clients, their healing process, they say like, I'm so tired and I'm exhausted and this hurts, and some of them will like cancel an appointment or push an appointment back because they're like, oh, this hurts. And so I have found very gentle ways to support them in that and give them to language to explain what is actually happening in their systems. I call it the five bodies, but what's actually happening in their five bodies, so that it is not necessarily scary, because it can be scary, but helping them understand what's happening, like, you know, as all those things become integrated. And so I feel very honored. I'm always thanking, God, the Most High, like, thank you for, like, dang, this is, one is good content, and then two, like, wow, what a mission. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I love that joy and excitement that you have around stepping into it, because
Mhm.
sometimes, society has, particularly around being a woman of color, made
Mhm.
so much of what we do feel like a burden,
Mhm.
and also framed it as if we should there's kind of this societal badge of honor to walk around tired, to walk around
Yes.
heavy, to walk around burdened and be like, "Oh, but I can carry it all."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So that you are approaching it with joy and
yeah.
lightness and
Mhm.
gratitude is subversive in and of itself.
Thank you. Yes, I agree 100%.
Yeah, so let's get into what you experienced, what your experience was within holiness culture. I
Okay.
have a little bit of familiarity with it. My
Mhm.
paternal family was Holiness Apostolic, is Holiness Apostolic still.
Mhm.
Um, and it is a completely it's a culture of its own,
It is.
is what I will say. So how did the Holiness Apostolic Church first even come into your life?
Okay. Um, and so I don't forget, I want to say that a lot of different organizations do apostolic differently, and
Mhm.
that's what I don't like. There's actually not a lot of structure. There's
Mhm.
structures within maybe a small church, and maybe that small church has a unit they're associated with. Sometimes it's a standalone. They can have a different way that they're doing apostolic ministry than the church down the street, and it could
Mhm.
have the label, but the symptoms, I will call, of that body is totally different. Um, I just don't want to forget to say that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
which is
Okay.
true across all of, to me, across all of Christianity.
Yes.
We find that is that,
Yes.
you could have a church right next door, and
Mhm.
you're gonna do things differently.
Mhm. And that's dangerous. Um, it's very dangerous. At least,
Especially when we're talking about control, because
yes.
everybody is saying my way is the right way, and God
Yes.
said do it this way, and I am speaking for God, for
Yes.
you, to you, and it's like,
Yes. At least the Vatican, it's gonna be this. I'm not promoting the Vatican. I'm just saying, like, it's wild out there in the Christian world. Okay, so how did I get introduced? So my dad's father wasn't in his life, and I'm saying that on purpose. He was looking for a father figure. My dad is a musician, creative, songwriter, all the things. He met a man who was also doing the same thing, songwriter, singer, and he was a part of a choir. He asked my dad to join the choir. And then that's how he became his spiritual father because he was older. So when he started a church, he asked my dad to be the minister of music. My
mm,
dad met my mom. She moved down from Chicago to Dallas. He invited my mom to the choir because my mom also sings. And now they are part of this ministry that is just
mhm,
getting off of the ground. And so my parents are pioneers for that ministry from start until they transitioned out. I was born in between
mhm,
the establishment of said ministry. So I grew up in that particular ministry, and it was a standalone church
mhm,
that eventually garnished other churches small like them to be a part of its organization. I almost slipped up and said the name. I actually don't care, but the name is not important. So they
mhm,
garnished these other small churches and then created this ecosystem of control. And so wherever you lived in the Metroplex, you could go to one of those churches that was approved, that subscribed to the bylaws and the whatever. You could choose one. You could pick one. And then every year, all the churches would come together for like a New Year prophetic day, and the leader would disseminate information to all of the churches, plus call people out for incorrect behavior or behavior that wasn't in alignment with what they felt like God was saying. That would happen once a year.
mhm. Okay, so being stood up is what
Yeah.
called it
Yeah.
in the churchy crowd, in the churchy community. You got stood up or sat down.
Yeah. Yep. And once a year, it personally created a lot of anxiety for me. I actually am feeling like a
Mhm,
attention in my heart as I'm speaking about it, because I think I'm realizing, like, right now in this moment, that there was an incident that I probably need to go back and process with being called out in front of all of those people so young, and then not having my parents. I was 21. Yeah, not having my parents. Nope, not 21. I was 18. Not having my parents protect me in that moment. And I remember crying after that service for like an hour, and all my dad did was just sit there while I cried. So I need to go back and I just said it. I
mhm,
need to go back and
mhm,
process that moment.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, I keep going. I want you to guide the
mhm.
conversation because it's so much.
Oh, yes, there's so much to be said around how,
Yeah.
um, one of the promises of abiding by the control in these spaces, whether it's a religious space or relational space or cultural space, professional space, one of the promises is that if you are obedient, you will be safe and protected.
Hmm.
And oftentimes, Dr. Angela Davis actually said it, your obedience does not protect you. And
That's
Audre
good.
Lorde, your silence will not protect you.
Good.
And that's just such a recurring theme, is even as you shared with your dad, underneath that, he was looking for a sense of safety. A
Hmm.
father represents safety,
Hmm.
protection, guidance, leadership. And I don't know if he found those things there,
No.
but it did put the people around him in jeopardy by not recognizing his own power to lead, guide, protect, maintain safety.
Yeah.
So what is it, what would you say, because you were mentioning that you were 18, 21.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say, were there any aspects of the community that did make you feel a sense of belonging or community up until that point?
Ooh, that's
That
such a
you
great
felt like you
question.
belonged?
I felt like that's such a great question. Now that I've experienced what belonging feels like, I don't think I can say I belonged. I feel like I was integrated. So there were no other options. Like,
Mm,
and it and I didn't imagine of other options because there were no options. Meaning, like, the friends that came through that church, these are my friends. There is no other option outside of this because this is what I'm integrated into. If I have to be honest, I never really felt like I belonged there, and I actually used to get in trouble all the time because I was very curious, and I was very spicy. Like, with my mother, with some of them church members, I'd be like, "Who y'all talking to?" Like, even though I was a very insecure, very anxious, very all of that, I still had a spiciness to me, that would get me into trouble in a setting like that.
mhm.
I just I don't feel like I belong. I feel like I was tolerated sometimes, but I think it was more integration. Like, there's no other option. So no.
It's a great way to put it, actually. With that being said, and the piece around spiciness, what did holiness look like in practice for women and girls in that space?
Well, we couldn't wear pants, and I know that's pretty common with a lot of apostolic ministries. You couldn't wear colored lipsticks. Your hair color had to be a natural hair color. Little to no makeup. They never said that, but the way they would reference Paul's teachings and teachings in the Bible would infer that women who wore a lot of makeup and wore a lot of color were Jezebels or witches. And so, on a psychological level, we just didn't do a lot of that. Um the confusing part about this apostolic ministry is that women could preach. So my mom
Mm,
became, both my parents are ministers still. My mom was like the prophetess of the church, and then she became eventually the assistant pastor. And so their running theme is, we have women who can preach. And when we would go visit churches, they would have like a meeting with whoever the presiding pastor was over that church to say, we're coming with women ministers and preachers. And they would go to war for women in that way, to preach, but in no other way. Like, submission was a big theme. Not just to your husband that they damn near selected for you. Not only that, like, you had to go through an approval process for the person you were dating. Dating was monitored, meaning sometimes there was an adult chaperone on a date with two other adults. um, I was driven to my prom, my high school prom, by two chaperones who were married, because it had to be somebody married that's dry. All of that was
mhm.
promoted. It's marriage or nothing. There's the one person, and you got to do all these things, and then God will send you the one person. If you don't do these things, and that's why you're not getting your one person. Um, you definitely there was not a lot of freedom in, like, how you expressed yourself. So, like, my saving grace is that whatever craziness that they were on, they had an affinity for women pastors. Like, that was
Mhm.
probably my saving grace, because it allowed me to practice my craft, which we'll get into. Allowed me to practice my craft in a way that is not considered normal. Like, it was on some Harry Potter school type stuff where I got to practice my craft, which is weird. It doesn't align with all of the other control. You know, it's like you
Mm-hmm.
come to the witchery school. Let me not call it witchery school. You come to you come to the church. You come to the church prophetess school, but you better not show up with no pants on, because that's not being a woman of God. So it was just a lot of small nuances and things that just did not make sense for women. It was just so strange and so controlled. It's not even funny. Like, I'm talking about having a meeting to get an approval, like a yes approval, that this is the person that I think I want to marry. Like, do you approve? Like, it was like that.
Mm-hmm. That actually mirrors how some of the Israelite churches
Okay.
operate, specifically the one that I was a part of. You
Okay.
definitely had to bring your partner, get approved. If a man wanted to court a woman within the space, he had to first go to leadership, and then leadership
Mhm.
had to connect him with the woman, and
Mhm.
all the different things. My
Yeah.
previous guest was sharing how she met her husband, and it was every year at Passover they do this parade of single women,
Oh my word.
and they parade them in front of the single men, and
Oh.
the brothers just like, oh, I like you, come
Oh.
on sister, and we gonna start courting and that kind of thing.
Oh.
So I totally gratefully I did not meet my husband that way, because I'd probably be rebelling just for the sake of rebelling.
For sure.
I'm like, I don't
Ooh-wee.
know. You might be right, but you also might not be right. Um, but that it's so interesting that most of the most solid spiritual practitioners I know
Mhm.
got their roots in learning how to practice in the church.
Yeah.
From learning to pray, chant,
Mhm.
dance, move the spirit, do energy work,
Mhm.
prophesy, seeing clearly. So
Mhm.
much of it came from that early foundation and seeing it be institutionalized really
Mhm.
in that church setting.
Yep.
So what were
100%.
some unspoken rules that you would say women and girls had to learn pretty quickly? One of them, I mean, you submit to every man, sounds like.
Yep. You submit to every man. Um, the idea of over functioning was unspoken. So, Proverbs 31 was really, really big, and it's still big today. I learned later that that was completely taken out of context, because I don't know if it's okay if I curse or not, but
Oh, you're fine.
okay. I don't mean to sometimes. It's like, yeah. But it's completely taken out of context. And so they would drive that home. Like, it is not, for a working woman in the United States, it is not realistic to make the clothes, make the food from scratch, go to work, take care of all the kids, how many ever kids there are, take care of the man, be ready or even interested romantically in anything beyond a nap. Like, can we take a nap date? Like,
Hmm.
it's just not realistic. And so that was promoted so hard, like that's what you do because that's what's pleasing to God. That was a huge underlying theme. Another underlying theme was sexual liberation was not okay. um and so even that was controlled. So if they found out you had an interest, we had like we had a lesbian pastor. She would never admit that she was lesbian. We know she was. That was hidden, and it would always, they would talk to her like, your husband is coming, knowing good and damn well she don't like men. Y'all know she don't like men. Why are y'all doing that? And so that was a running theme. Um, Anything outside of the construct of what they considered, okay for women, it just wasn't okay. I remember I asked about like oral sex one time because they were reading the scripture, and I'm like, well, that sounds like, I don't
Hmm.
know how I know. I was like, that sounds like, so are you saying that that's not okay in a marriage setting? And I asked that out loud in a Sunday school class, and I got like a reprimand They pulled me into the office. You're not supposed to ask things like that. And I'm like, well, I thought we were talking about the things that are okay and not okay in marriage. If that's what the topic is today. I was just asking a question. So you're saying I'm supposed to have I'm supposed to be now liberated and it's pleasing to God that I'm now married, but then I'm supposed to have these rules? Like I don't understand. Help me understand. And I genuinely was trying to understand. And that was when I tell you I got a reprimand 2 seconds from being slapped. This is how it felt energetically. And is this not the space to learn? They told my
Mhm.
mama. I'm having a conversation with my mama now, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta watch Aisha because Aisha, we gotta make sure we keep her. We want to make sure like she stays a virgin, and we want to make sure that like it was this big thing. And now everybody's watching me. If I wear something a little too tight, now everyone's looking at me, and if I if I smile a little too hard at somebody, because I'm naturally smiley and naturally
Mhm.
flirty, and sometimes it don't even mean anything. I just became like this thing to watch to make sure I'm staying in alignment, and it was surveillance, like it was a lot. It
Mm.
was a lot. It was a lot.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, it was a lot.
The ways that as women we are programmed to
Mm-hmm.
accept surveillance,
Mm-hmm.
accept violations of our privacy, and accept it with a smile.
Yep. Yep.
Should definitely be talked about more because now we're seeing it become more of a societal standard. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that everything is birthed through the woman. Everything
100.
is birthed through the woman. And when they are trialing how they will control society next, they start with.
Mm-hmm. The women. Yeah.
And so it's so important for us to speak up and find our voices in these situations because it doesn't just affect us as
Yeah.
women. It will then affect our children. It will
Yep.
then affect anyone that we love and those that we're trying to help and heal and guide and support
Mm-hmm.
by us saying, oh, well, just to keep the peace, so I'm just sweep it under the rug, or I don't want to rock the boat, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, flip the boat over.
Yeah, listen, I can swim. We can capsize this mug.
Let's go. Flip it.
Before, and I say that all the time, as women, sometimes, especially those of us who are in these spaces of religious control, that then to me feed into relational control because we're taught, submit, obey, don't make too much noise. But then you're on a train that's about to crash and you know how to drive the train. But in order to be submissive, in order to stay in alignment, you are circumventing your natural human instinct to survive in
Mm-hmm.
order to submit.
Mm-hmm.
So I could talk about that all
Uh,
day. But I would love to know. So you're sharing that once you kind of stepped out of line a little bit, there were all of these reprimands. Were there any other ways that leadership reinforced their expectations? Was there more than just kind of maybe the pastor or the Sunday school leader? Did it become a communal thing? What was that
yeah.
like?
Yeah. In a lot of ways, it kind of became a communal thing where I was just kind of watched by everyone. And then I became like a troublemaker, kind of, and as somebody who had a debilitating at the time anxiety caused by something in vitro. My parents were very young, so I think they just had a lot of questions and unknowns about having a kid. And then, energetically and spiritually, the kind of kid I was, I think my mom felt that very early, and I think she just was very afraid. And instead of leading with like nurturing, she kind of led with disdain for a little bit. And we can blame it on postpartum, but like it lasted long,
Mhm,
10 plus years.
mhm,
And bless her heart, we've resolved a lot of that, but uh, I just became like just a troublemaker in my own home and in the church. And what's crazy is I was the most creative. I was the most I could project manage that whole damn church. like if I wanted to, I could. And I was
Mm-hmm.
good at it. And so sometimes they would let me like I would everything was done. Communion set up, doors open, the Sunday school stuff, materials ready. Every I could do it. And sometimes they would trust me to do that. And then sometimes they would just give me a hard time about really, really small things. Um, they would we would have like children's day where the children could be like the preacher for the day and play the music and do the worship and all of that. So I would teach the Sunday school kids. This is as I got older. I would teach this, and sometimes I say things out of like the
Mm-hmm.
chronological order. I would teach the kids their songs, teach them their Bible verses, and then I would like preach or talk. And sometimes they would give me parameters because I was so creative. It's like, okay, these are the things you can say, these are the things you cannot say. And I wrote poems. So God would speak to me through poems, through song, and I would get prophetic messages to the point to where sometimes they would be like, Aisha, what was the message meaning? What did they spoke in tongues or whatever language they're speaking in? Whatever. What was it? And I would have an interpretation for it. And I'd be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's this. So sometimes they would be all right with me
Mm-hmm.
as I was. And then other times they had me on the altar. I can't even tell you how many times I was on the altar. Why y'all trying to cat? So y'all just made up a demon that's in me. I read the poem last week, but then y'all made up a demon that's in me this week, and I'm on the altar. Okay.
Oh yes. Oh
All right.
yes. It's so interesting. So interesting because there are, and I'm sure that you've kind of dabbled in some things. There are specific angelic forces that are connected to creativity,
Mm-hmm.
music, teaching,
Mm-hmm.
nurturing, healing. I say all the time, it is fascinating to me how versed the church is on demons and the demonic realm and
Talk
all
about it.
things demon.
Talk about it.
But there is no understanding of the angelic realm that is operating around us at all times. And if you are
Mm-hmm.
in the church, should be your like sidekicks.
Mm-hmm.
There's no understanding of that taught. But we
Yeah.
can name and shame and call out and cast out
All of
every
them.
single demon
Mm-hmm.
by name.
Yeah. I
And
got
I
something
would
good for
tell
you.
y'all how King James got y'all trapped up like that, but we ain't going
Listen,
there.
and I would be like, and she's saying the truth and clock it. I got a book over here
Listen,
about how many times King James revised the. Anyway, he
that's
wrote the
y'all
book
boy
on the
King
demons. Yeah,
James on the demon time.
he wrote the book on. He wrote the book on the demons, and then gonna turn
Listen,
around and try to write the holy book. Okay, James. All right.
listen, I and for political purposes, because I can tend to be okay. I can see what
Yeah.
the motivations were there. He
Yeah.
wanted to make sure all his bases was covered.
Right, because he liked a lot of different things. He was very fluent in a lot of different
Mm-hmm.
languages. We'll say
Lifestyles and languages.
lifestyles and
Yes,
languages. Um,
absolutely.
but to
So,
your point,
so let's
listen.
talk about the break for you because
Okay.
you shared a lot about things that absolutely seem like they would become a breaking point. Was there a
Mhm.
moment where something broke in you?
Yes. And I wanted to say from the last comment you made about that they don't talk about the angelic forces.
Mhm,
Remember, I said earlier, my saving grace was my mom. My mom was interested in angels and demons. And
mhm,
so my mom would pass down books that she would get from the half price bookstore. And granted, it was a Christian focus, but me and my mom would research and study demons and angels together,
mhm,
or she would be like, look up this one and read about it. And so I was already having visitations like since I was 3 on both sides, light and
mhm,
dark. My mom helped me understand that if I see like a sparkle that moves fast, it's this. If I see this that's moving slower, it's this. If it feels like the lights have dimmed, it's this. If
mhm,
you hear sounds, voices, my mom taught me all of that. And
mhm,
so that was probably my saving grace and caught and helped me from developing the very severe mood disorder or psychiatric disorder that probably would have developed had I not had at least that. Like I know I hear from something, I see
Mhm,
things, and like I can't let go because of whatever that is. And I have to figure out exactly what that is, but that
mhm,
held me together even though I was breaking. So my breaking point was when my parents divorced, which was nuts. So they were like the pillars of the church. They put my mom out. What? They put my mom out the church because she wanted to hurt my dad because of some,
is
yeah, some
situations.
things. And they
Mhm,
let my dad stay and play on the piano, and there was no type of communal reprimands for everybody who was a part of the demise of my family unit in that format. Nobody took accountability. They put it all on my mom. And so when
mhm.
I saw that, I'm like, I know you lying. So y'all gonna assign my mom to go to another church and have a meeting. The pastor's gonna have a meeting and assign my mama to go to another church, and then y'all just gonna send her over there, and then I'm supposed to stay here and do what? Do what?
A lot of religious spaces feel like the children belong to the men.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I
So kind
messed
of
up.
like send her off into the mountains. You keep the children, Mr. Man.
They messed up real bad.
That's so interesting because you've mentioned a few times being stood up and the
Mhm.
reprimands. Were there never any reprimands for the men in the community?
Barely. And if it was done privately,
Oh.
mostly reprimands for the women. Ooh, that was good. See what
Also,
you
New
did there.
Year's was always just women being stood up?
Mostly. There
Oh.
were men sometimes, but mostly women. Yes. Oh, that's good. Yes. I remember my mama standing up there. This whole I need to apologize to the church and I need to
Mhm.
say what I did. And I remember that day very clearly, as I also remember the many times they had me on the altar and trying to cast out anxiety and attitude things. But yeah, it was women most of the time. Yeah, it was.
Oh, wow. That's so interesting. That's not
Hmm.
surprising, but it is very interesting.
Yep.
So, would you say when your mom was sent to another church and that was a breaking point for you with that church, did you move churches afterwards with your mom?
It took me a minute. I actually started getting really close with the pastor that they replaced my mom with. And because they had villainized and demonized my mom, I actually moved in with that family.
Mhm.
This is wild. I actually moved in with that family because they were protecting me. Um, yeah. Yeah.
It's so interesting how reclaiming or just standing up for herself, standing
Mhm.
up for her boundaries was
Mhm.
so villainized
Mhm. It
to the
was.
point of your child needs to go live with other people because you might corrupt her.
Yep.
Very, very interesting how that shaped up. What would you say it cost you to leave the wholeness of it when you finally said, "Okay, I'm not even moving churches anymore. I am stepping out into my own spiritual journey."
I it took me a minute. I after that family tried to come hard on me, they came down on me real hard for spending a little extra time with my boyfriend, my college boyfriend. And I got to their house late because they lived across town. I broke my curfew. They
Mm,
didn't like that. And they tried to sit me down. And I was just like, ain't no way I'm going through this again. I'm in college. Me and my boyfriend were virgins at the time. He was actually a preacher's kid. And so
mhm.
for me, I'm like, I'm not even doing the stuff y'all are accusing me of. I sat on the couch and watched wrestling with his family. You know what I mean? Like that is a safe space for me. And
Right.
I'm getting called into a kitchen meeting because what y'all think I done did, God knows what. I actually kept my virginity as I knew it for a very long time after college. And so for me to be villainized for so long for things that I wasn't doing was wild. And so after that meeting, I was like, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm leaving y'all's house, and I think I'm leaving the church. And so that next Sunday, I had like a kind of like a panic attack or whatever in church, in the church, and slammed my Bible closed. And I
Mhm.
think I sent her a text in church. I was like, hey, I'm not coming back. And I left. I started going church to my mom's church, the church that she had moved to. And I actually moved in with my college boyfriend and his
Mhm.
family for like a year and a half to 2 years. So it cost me a lot. Like that's a lot of transitions.
Mhm.
Um, it's a lot of transitions. And then when him and I broke up, I was afraid to go home because of what the church told me my mom was. And I couldn't verify. I didn't developmentally I didn't have it all. And so
Mhm.
I house hopped. I technically was like homeless on paper because I felt like I couldn't go home because they said that my mom wasn't safe. So it cost me years of like figuring out and sorting through. And I'm still going to church and not, there's some separation. I'll show up and then leave. And then, it was a very, very strange time. Didn't talk to my dad for a couple years. It just was a lot. And then when I finally said, you know what, let me try to build a relationship with my mom and like move home, I did. And, stayed with her for a few years. And that's not even when the repair happened. That was just me like, like, let me just
Mhm.
stop being a nomad,
Mhm.
having people out here thinking I really don't have a home. Like, let me
Right.
stop doing that. It wasn't until I got settled in her church that I started seeing like those communities kind of for what they were. And then I
Mhm.
ended up leaving her church to start my own journey. But even that was tough. I started with a white church, and I'm like, F the black church. I ain't ever going back to that black church. So I was
Mhm.
going to the white churches, and then I missed my people. I'm like, oh no, I need my people. So then I started looking for a diverse church. It was like a 10-year of what in the hell.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
I wanna talk about a little bit how grief and relief
Mm,
can live in the same space,
mm-hmm.
where you're grieving this break from everything that you knew and were born into,
Mm-hmm.
and also grieving many times the life that we thought we would have had, the life that
Mm-hmm.
we were promised.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the life that you're promised if you follow all the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And then the relief at the same time of finally standing up for yourself, finally
Mm-hmm.
saying yes to the part of you that has been saying no for so
Mm-hmm.
long. That's like, I don't like this. This doesn't make sense. This
Mm-hmm.
doesn't fit. And how those two things can live together. Did you experience that in that 10-year period?
I did, and it equated to rage. Insert rage. That's
Hmm.
that's my friend. We're good. We're
I'm about to
good.
say, rage is so healthy, and
I
we
love
need
her.
to express more rage
Absolutely, I love
as
her.
women globally. We
Yep.
need to tap into rage. Rage
Mm-hmm.
will move some things.
Yep. Sure
So
will.
it expressed as rage for you?
Yep. It expressed his rage, and for a time period, my mama thought I was nuts. I was like, I don't care if it's a church. I'll go in there right now. You say the word. What did they say to you today on Sunday? My I'm not a member no more, right? I'm like, what did they say? She would have to stop me. There's
Mhm,
many times I pulled up to that church. I pulled up and I was like, look, I'm outside. It's like,
mhm,
you cannot come in these people's church and do that. And I'm like, says who? They
mhm.
come up in our lives and wreak havoc. Who said I can't come up in here and act the fool today?
That's not a lie. That is not a lie at all. Okay.
Rage.
I
Yep.
mean, so you've mentioned, and when we first initially had a conversation, one of the things that you brought up was the mental toll
Mm-hmm.
that being in that space, leaving the space, trying to rebuild after with
Mm-hmm.
essentially
Nothing.
raw materials.
Well, not nothing, but
Well, not nothing, but with very much raw materials. And
yeah.
at first, it can seem like nothing because you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to shed all that you were before and all of the toxicity of what you learned.
For sure.
So you don't quite see the gift in it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so that can feel like I have nothing now. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
walked away. I don't know what's next. I'm trying all these different avenues and nothing feels like right.
Mm-hmm.
So mentally, how are you able to hold on to yourself or return to yourself?
Okay, that's good because I had to do both. I lost myself in something on the clinician side they would call like a cognitive disorder. So I had multi-layered cognitive distortion issue, meaning like my thoughts did not belong to me. They belonged to a lot of different people and entities and things
Mhm,
that happened along the way. And had I not gotten treatment for it, I do believe I would have been diagnosed with either like a borderline personality disorder and or bipolar one or two.
mhm,
Because trauma, when it goes untreated for so long, it has a psychological effect on you. And I think I had so many alterations going through those different stages in my life, and it because it had gone untreated for so long. I was completely lost, just living, but completely lost mentally. And
mhm,
so my return to myself started after therapy, but therapy is very clinical. I learned later that there was a lot of spiritual and ancestral work that I needed to do in addition to like the cognitive and emotional. And so it wasn't until I was introduced to meditation, um, by way of my comedic yoga teacher, that I started returning to myself. And mind you, this was maybe like 2 years ago,
mhm,
where I actually started to feel a return. In therapy, I had the knowledge, so that now I understand how these thoughts came to be, how this behavior came to be, how this pattern came to be, how it's been impacting me, how it
mhm,
impacts my creativity and my relationships. I didn't even talk about that, but my relationships were a reflection of all of those cognitive distortions, all of them,
mhm,
up until the current one that I'm, my current partner. Um, it was awful, and so the turning myself right side up, I, I had to go through like 5 years of even understanding what was wrong. And I don't
mhm,
use the word broken. A lot of people do. I don't like that
mhm,
word, but I had to figure out all the cracks
mhm,
first and understand them to then start like, okay, let's go heal this. Let's go heal this. Let's go heal this. Let's go heal this. So I think maybe within the past 2 years, I actually feel a return. Like, oh my God. Like when people say they're anxious, that doesn't identify, I don't identify with that anymore. And that's kind of how
mhm,
I knew. Where it's like, oh, that doesn't resonate. Sis, what do you need? You know what I mean? Not
mhm.
that I don't get anxiety, but it's just not that debilitating.
Yes.
That's not, it's just not me anymore. And that's kind of how I knew. I'm like, oh shit, girl, you did some work around here.
Yes, and it's so interesting because if you really, I mean, as a clinician, you're looking at this all the time, but
Mhm.
that environment breeds anxiety.
Yep.
If you are constantly having to check off a list and
Mhm.
police yourself and
Yep.
police others around you and judge behaviors and just
Mhm.
always there's always something.
Mhm.
There's always some way for you to slip up or make a mistake or end up
Mhm.
in hell or what or be a witch or
Add
be
that.
demonic. You wear
Yep.
a colorful lipstick suddenly or like that level of self-policing
Mhm.
is a recipe for anxiety,
Mhm.
is a recipe for so many issues that we
Yep.
really deal with as women. And I have another conversation I've been skirting around, talking about the ways that as women we perpetuate patriarchal standards
Yeah.
upon each other, and many
True.
times we have become the patriarchy police
True.
for other women
True.
and girls. I mean, how many of us as girls are taught very early, you better keep your legs closed and
Yep.
sit like this and stand
Mhm.
like this and walk like this and talk like
Mhm.
this, and act like this, and don't look at him too long, and
Yep.
all of these things. And there is no policing for the men.
Nope.
Or if there is, it's done in private.
Correct. I lived it.
Yes. So, and it's so interesting that you're bringing up that you had to come back to your own thoughts.
Mhm.
I cannot express enough how often I talk to women and I'm actually talking to their mother, or
Yes.
I'm actually talking to their pastor or their
Yes.
grandmother. And it's not their voice that they're speaking with, it's not their beliefs, their thoughts. And a lot of the work is deconstructing what is not
Mhm.
yours and reconstructing you in
Mhm.
the place of all of those things.
Mhm.
So I want to talk about really quickly that inner church,
Okay.
because sometimes we leave the church but the church don't leave us.
Okay.
We leave the high control experience, we leave the husband but the husband's voice is still guiding
Mhm.
your moves, or you walk away from the toxic family member but they're still speaking to you.
Mhm.
So after leaving, what would you say was the loudest voice that stayed with you?
My mom's voice.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm still I'm still undoing a lot of that cuz my mom is safe. You know, that's why people love her. That's
Hmm.
why my dad loved her. She was safe. And so in that, she doesn't take a lot of risk. So she's starting to take risks now, but that's just not who she is, and she was taught that by her trauma and her things and whatever. So she projected a lot of that onto me, risk in a lot of areas, whether financial, whether how I dress. Like I have like 28 tattoos, 13 piercings. I defaulted to self mutilation and sucking my thumb, at my
Hmm.
worst heightened anxious
Hmm.
state. um and she would cry sometimes. Oh, you got another tattoo? And she would just start sobbing, you know what I mean? Or you colored your hair, or you did these things. And so it's taken a lot of undoing, from her name is Lucky, and that's my middle name too. So, it's taken a lot of undoing to get Lucky's voice out of my head and teach her that like I'm okay. You actually taught me well, even with all of them constructs, that 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 what I hear is God um very clearly, and not to question that. Like, you actually taught me that. And so you want me to hear God's voice. That's what you want me to hear. And then I come back and teach her, like, this is how you can have a better quality of life if you let go of the reins in some of these areas. So now
Hmm.
I became the teacher. But yeah, undoing. Every other day I'm like, you know what? That's what my mama would say. Woo! I used to say, we doing it. We doing it and we going. So I have to,
Yes.
I have to, you know, put that behind me. But as far as those church constructs, all that's gone. I wish somebody would. I'm not going, I'm not coming.
That's what it is. So, what would you say? What were some or a belief about yourself that took you the longest to undo?
That I was unlovable.
Mm.
Yep.
Mm.
It had me in some crappy, emotionally and physically abusive relationships, just accepting all kind of things. Because for a long time, I really believed that. I also believed that I was ugly, um, and was mutilated in a way. So really
Mhm.
heavy body dysmorphia. Um, yeah, it took a minute for that, and then that I was just simply unworthy because I didn't wait till I was married to, like, experience intimacy. And that's something me and my mom have actually never talked about. So I don't know if she sees this clip or whatever, how she gonna feel about it. But um, I actually learned that I didn't want to be that way.
Mhm.
Not to say that I ever, was just out here wilding out. Like, I'm very mindful and very careful, but like that's not a construct I would have created for myself.
Mhm.
Um, and so those three things: worthiness, being lovable, and literally feeling like I am an unattractive, you know, specimen that people like laugh at and don't take serious.
Mhm. Mhm. And it's so interesting that oftentimes we internalize those ideas as God's voice.
Mm-hmm.
And that can further perpetuate the self-policing and all
Mm-hmm.
because the voice that we're hearing inside of ourselves is that God is never pleased with you.
Mm-hmm.
God is a jealous God. We are
Yep.
all born into sin and imperfect and a
Mm-hmm.
filthy rag and all of these like well, like
Not a filthy rag.
oh yes, the church definitely. If I don't know if you've ever heard that, but that's what they call themselves, filthy. We are filthy rags in the eyes of God.
Not a
And
rag in the
it's like,
hay.
well,
How?
I when I create something,
Yeah.
I don't look at it and hate it.
Come on, somebody.
And if I'm made in the image of God, I don't think God looks at it and
There we
hates it
go.
either. But when we have these people positioning themselves as the voice of God,
Mm-hmm.
then what they say, we believe God said.
Projecting. Yep. For sure.
Yes, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say has surprised you most about your life after walking away from religious control?
Okay. I actually my gifts are heightened now, like in a very, it's like, whoa,
Mhm,
hold on, give me a second to like get my notepad, like, um, my gifts are heightened. God speaks through me through a lot of different modalities. It doesn't matter what it is. Like I can pick up cards, I can get messages, I can pick up a book, I can get messages, I can hear audibly. Don't do, but like go there. Maybe don't say it like that, say it like this because they're dealing with this. Like I can get direction in my dreams. I've always dreamed in the future. So like those are now I can hear thoughts in people's thoughts in my dreams. Like if
mm,
they decide they want to come and enter into my space, I can hear their active thoughts in my dreams. um it's wild, and I like it. Like I don't feel odd or othered how I used to feel, and I don't think I would have gotten to that space had I not did all the work that I did to make sure this is I'm hearing God's voice and not
mhm,
Lucky's voice or Gary's voice or P. White's voice and all these
mhm,
people that had such a negative influence. And then how it's metabolized into my business affairs. Like it's I I just be at a loss for words. Like, and then I get to guide people in
mhm,
a way. Not that I didn't know that I could help people, but it's just I don't know. It's just a wonderful I don't know. It just feels wonderful when I wake up, even on days where it's like, man, I got to see 8 people today. But it's like, let's get it, like it's, and I just didn't feel everything just used to feel very heavy and just
mhm,
very weighted. And I just don't feel that. I
mhm,
don't really give a damn about what people think about me anymore. I never thought I would get to that place. I don't, I show up how I show up, and I know if I need to work the room, I can. If I need to sit back and observe, I can. I have that impulse control now I just
mhm,
more things have just been in alignment that I didn't expect. I thought I was healing a mind problem.
mhm.
That's it. But it
Yeah,
wasn't just a mind problem. And it has
yeah,
just it's just enhanced me in so many ways. And I'm just not scared. I'm open now to like, okay, let's do it. Whatever
mhm,
that is, let's do it. I will say the one thing that I don't am not as forthcoming with is all of the different ways that God talks to me, especially with my cards, because there's still a little, like so many of my friends are in the Christian faith and very, very connected in church. And I love all of it. I actually love aspects of all religion.
yes,
And I even love aspects of people who are not connected to religion at all. And
mhm,
so sometimes I feel like I'm misinterpreted in that space by people who choose not to understand. So
mhm,
I'm a little when I say I'm in the 85%, I'm that's the other piece. Like I'm just a little more reserved in that space.
mhm,
But yeah, I feel like the complete way that I'm living was unexpected. I'm working for myself. I'm
Yeah.
building. I'm like, girl, who are you? I'm notoriously work for other people under somebody else's control. And so I'm just excited about, the domino, more of the domino effect, because I'm supposed to thrive. Abundance is easy. Money comes easy.
Yes.
Great relationships and love. That was
Yes.
never supposed to be in question. And so like now I know that.
And even the scripture tells you this.
Yeah.
I've come that you might have life and that
Hmm.
more abundantly, not
For sure.
more
Hell.
deprived.
Okay.
And here I am sitting here with 75 card decks
Listen, I
looking
love
at
my
me.
cards.
Looking at me. I'm like, I don't need to buy another deck.
I
But I
love
just
my
love them so
cards.
much.
Yes.
I really
They're
do.
they're so fun.
Mhm.
I feel like they're fun, and a lot of times people are surprised, like, dang, your card said that, and I'm like, well, is God talking? I mean,
And
it's
quick too. Oh my
and
goodness.
quick.
I'm like, okay, I need what's the answer?
Yeah, tell
A
me.
card. There it goes. Okay, I got it. Last week,
Mm-hmm.
I digress. But last
Yes.
week I was thinking about reintroducing my ease experience course. And I was like, well,
Mm,
I can just do it one time and it'll be and something was just like, I'm not feeling all the way in, but it's such a right there, easy, you
yeah.
can do this kind of thing. Pulled the card was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Helpful people are coming right around the corner.
Uh-huh.
What you're looking for is coming. When I tell you it hasn't been a week and what I was looking for came,
Yes.
had I stepped in, and that's one of the things I've learned in my religious deconstruction journey is how to let God work sometimes.
Yes.
How to let the spirit realm work sometimes, because yes, faith without works is dead, but also sometimes we're over extending ourselves and overdoing it where there is help and support available.
Yes, and you're to your point. In working for myself, I was looking for my charger. I can't find it. In working for myself, I was functioning in a lot of ways, and I've had to pivot. It's like maybe I
Mhm.
need to do a master class every week. Maybe I need to, you know, I was starting to push like, come get your herbal refreshers at the farmers market. And it's like the herbal refreshers $8, girl. You a therapist?
You don't
Advertise
have to
the.
do everything.
You just need one session, sis. You need
Right.
to figure out what your niche is in this area, and that's what you need. Like sit down somewhere. Um, Everything I've needed has come. I got the opportunity to buy a building in October, a historic building in my city. And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. And I started over functioning. That's insert herbal tea refresher, come get it at the farmer's market. So you're gonna raise your closing costs in 3 months from herbal refreshers, Aisha? Girl. And so I've had to pivot so many times when I tell you how donations, free resources, sis, I know somebody who can do that for
Mhm.
this. I'm talking about roll through. I closed on Tuesday. For the position that
Congratulations.
I'm in, thank you. For the position that I'm in, on paper, unemployed is wild. It's uh, wild.
Yes, I love it. That's so inspiring because I was on Zillow yesterday, like, it's time.
Yes, it's wild.
Yes.
And that comes from that deconstructing in the way that I did. I didn't want to be angry and be stuck in what they did to me
Mhm.
and how they did it and what my
Mhm.
mom did and I did not want to be stuck in that. Once I realized I had the option to not be stuck, and once I
Yes.
gave myself permission to like get unstuck, I did the work to do it. And
Mhm.
all of that stuff is tolerable. It doesn't dysregulate my nervous system to think about that church. It irritates me a little bit, but it doesn't stop me. It doesn't stop my momentum, and I'm not even using it as fuel anymore. So I used to use it as fuel. Like I got something for them. You
Yes,
know?
spite.
Uh-huh.
Yes, fueling ourselves on spite. That's another big
Mm-hmm.
one because
Yep.
that is another way that we give away our power. They have the power to move you. Their opinions, their thoughts, their ideas and perspectives. So what is something that you have had to unlearn in this
Ooh.
time, unlearning about, particularly about being a good woman, because that's something that when you're in the church, you're taught from the time you're born, basically, that your role is to be a good woman. So, what is something that you've had to unlearn?
So I learned through my mom that love was suffering. And so if you really loved somebody, you would
Mm,
suffer through whatever they put you through, and that's how
mm,
you show them you love them. That's what I had to unlearn in my relationships because that equated to doormat behaviors. That
mhm.
equated to me being manipulated and gaslit. That that equated to, you know, they give me 10 cents and I give them 2,000. I'm just using that as a number, but
Yes.
that wasn't literal, but I had to unlearn that. I had to learn what a healthy relationship actually is and what it looks like, and it's definitely not over functioning. That was probably one of the hardest things for me to learn. That's what got me into therapy was how much I was over functioning, to my own detriment. And then I started to learn that like a lot of those things were interconnected with church and family and all that. And she kind of helped me on a cognitive level break it all down. She took her good time with me. Like, I love that lady. Yeah, I love that
Mhm.
lady. She took her good time because I would have ended up in another abusive relationship because almost all of my relationships were abusive now that I think about it, except even my college boyfriend. Like, he was kind on the kinder side and on the I want you to expand and grow side, but there was still a level of control that even he had, even though, he was one of my healthiest relationships.
Mhm.
Um, I just had to learn how to be a woman
Mhm. Oh, I
and
love
what that
that.
meant for me
Mhm.
so I could
Mhm.
show up for my
And
partner.
every woman has to define that for herself.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that is keeping us bound is that we are all trying to fit into, or have all tried to fit into, the box that society defines for what a
Mm-hmm.
woman is, and men as well,
Mm-hmm.
but what a woman is. And the growth, the healing comes when we decide this box is no longer a fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do I recognize that, but I am also doing the work to get out of the box,
Yes.
not go back into the box. So it sounds like you're realizing some things even in the conversation. So what does control mean to you now?
Control means I'm about to pop a cat. I'm kidding. Control means to me now that it is a problem with them and it don't have anything to do with me. Control now is let's sit down and have a conversation about what works for me and what does not. And if we can't reach a resolve, I'm removing myself and I don't need your permission to do it, nor do I need proof to do it.
Mhm,
Um, I'm out of here. Control looks like for me something that is connected to somebody else's healing work, and
mhm,
I don't have to try to fit and mold myself into control just to get companionship or friendship or jobs or resources or opportunities. And so I have an allergy to control. I've
yes.
always had an allergy to control. That I've never been the best employee, because it's like, man, it's too many rules going on up in here. So now it's magnified, and so I do try to have a conversation about how I'm experiencing this. This is how it feels to me. This is what my experience is, and this is not going to work if we can't reach a resolve. And this is with anybody, employers. I'd be sitting, my old bosses, I'd be sitting them down like they work for me. I need to talk. This, yeah, I can't do it.
So what would you say to a woman who is where you were? and
Mm,
is ready to break out of that control, but maybe afraid, or maybe it's all she ever knew.
mm. Okay, so one of the methodologies that I've created is called the five bodies. Um, a lot of clinical spaces dabble in a lot of times just the cognition, and a lot of practitioners ancestral and spiritual, but
Hmm.
there is a middle piece. And so emotional, cognitive, physical, which has to do with like your somatic body, ancestral and spiritual. That woman has to figure out where the control lives in all five of those bodies, where it came from, how
Hmm.
it got there, how it's impacting her now, and she needs a healing plan for each one of those. So if healing her cognitive body is 5 years, so be it. If healing your spiritual body is another 6, so be it. If healing your ancestral body and ancestral lineage is another 2, yes. Like if you got to make a life curriculum,
Hmm. Hmm.
all five of those bodies have has to be addressed. As somebody who lived it, I spent so much time in the cognitive and the emotional and understood that so well, but my other bodies were yelling. And it
Hmm.
wasn't until I hit those, then I started experiencing liberation. This
Hmm.
is why a lot of times people be like, yeah, I went to therapy and then I started this thing I've always wanted to do, and then I reached the cap. Then I got
Hmm.
exhausted. Then I lost my motivation. It's
Hmm.
because them other bodies, it's still something in there.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I
I
bring it all.
love that you're bringing that up. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think that the fragmentation that is created in
Mm-hmm.
these spaces,
Mm-hmm.
particularly in religious spaces, but I'll also say in any high control space, there has to be a fragmentation that happens because we are
Mm-hmm.
not naturally um, inclined to be controlled.
Come on.
So, in order to allow ourselves to be controlled, we have to break apart some things
Yes.
inside ourselves. We have to separate the spirit from the physical. We have to separate the cognitive from the spiritual.
That's so good.
And even in the church where you're taught the flesh and the spirit are always at odds,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not
Mm-hmm.
true.
Yeah, I agree.
The wholeness that you've expressed here in
Mm-hmm.
realizing, this was affecting other parts of my life. Like I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't just focus on this one aspect because it was also affecting my money. It was also affecting my career. It
Yeah.
was also affecting my relationships.
Yeah.
That is such a huge part of the healing journey, is remember coming back to the understanding that you are one. And that
Yeah.
when one member of the body is off,
Come
it is
on.
affecting something else. Like I learned that going to the chiropractor. She was like, "Yeah, it might be your foot, but it's actually your hip." Like,
Yes.
so once we adjust this, you're gonna feel a difference there too.
That's so good.
And that is it sounds like is what happened to you as well. So what does freedom look like for you today? Not in theory, but in real life.
Ooh. Ooh, that's hard. That's hard because the first thing I want to think of is my career. Like I'm free from those working constructs, but that is so good and hard, and normally I'm not stumped. Like I'm such a good interviewer, but like right now I'm like, ooh. Um, I I don't know if this answers the question, but like I like slow mornings.
Mhm.
I like um I like quiet. Like I can sit with myself and it's no problem. Me and all her parts, we good.
Yes.
Um, I like being in nature. Like I have to get outside. Like I have it's a non-negotiable.
Mhm.
Um, I have to eat energizing foods, and not all the time. I like a fried chicken every now and then, whatever. But I gotta eat energizing foods to power myself up. I feel like that's freedom to me. Freedom is also having the resources to outsource things to other people because I want to take a nap on a Tuesday, and I can just pay somebody else or work my way to be able to pay somebody else to do all those tasks so that I can rest.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like being available, like for myself and others, in a way that doesn't negotiate, my boundaries or isn't to my detriment. I think for me, freedom is, it just looks like choice. What do I want to choose today? Because what do I need today?
Mm-hmm.
And then I can give myself the things that I need. And I trust myself to do that. I trust my inner voice to know what it is and do it, and know that it's going to produce more fruit.
Yes, I love that. I love that. That's so beautiful. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience today?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I could go, I was like, how am I going to condense all of this?
Listen, I'm feeling the same over here. I'm feeling the same because I be wanting to go, go, go. These are such
Mhm.
good conversations. And I feel like as women, we need to be talking more about the ways that we're breaking free,
Yes.
not only how we're getting free from these spaces, but how we're rebuilding and living on the other side of control.
Yes.
Because what keeps so many women in control is a world has been built for them.
Mhm.
And they have been told that everything outside of that world is uncertain, it's scary, it's trying
Mhm.
to devour you, it's going to hurt you.
Mhm.
So, seeing women who are thriving
Mhm.
outside of control
Yeah.
is the whole point of me bringing these conversations here so that women can see these are everyday women who are
Yeah.
just like you who
Mhm.
made a new choice and they kept making a different choice until
Mhm.
now their life looks totally different.
Mhm. That's what it takes. I
Yes.
I think I would want to leave with um women having a movement practice and a meditation practice to get in the practice of moving energy.
Mhm.
And I that's one consistent thing that I've seen in my own life from childhood. I just didn't know how I was using that modality. Now I know, but I
Mhm.
yeah, I yeah. A
Mhm.
movement practice and a meditation
Yes.
practice to move energy.
Yes, yes, yes. I
Mhm.
remember years ago your foray into pole and me
Yes.
seeing that and saying, "Oh, I wonder what that's about to open up for her." Like,
Mhm.
once we start moving our hips
Yep.
specifically as women,
Mhm.
something gonna shatter, something's gonna
Mhm.
crumble down
Yeah.
because that's where they stop us first.
Mhm.
Don't switch. Don't be too seductive. Don't be too
Mhm.
provocative. Don't be too immodest. But once we start moving those hips again,
Mhm.
mountains about to move, child.
Uh-huh.
And that's just the truth. And that's where we begin again to create. So I'm not at all surprised to see you here now where
Yeah.
you are creating in so many different ways and your
Mhm.
creative energy is bubbling
Yeah.
because I learned this through one of my spiritual practitioners, who is an excellent Reiki master and has supported me
Oh
deeply in
yeah.
moving energy in my body. We can do all the thinking about it and unpacking it and deconstructing it and making it a mind thing until we are blue in the face. But
Yep.
trauma lives in the
In
body
the body. Yes.
and
In
it
that
is not going
physical
to move
body.
until we get back into our bodies.
Come on, somebody. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Yes. An
Yeah.
emphasis on movement that opens hips,
Mhm.
making circles, making zigzag.
Mhm.
Not, I'm not talking about movement practice like you in the gym. I'm not talking
Mhm.
about workout. I'm talking about energy, personal energy work, and I don't know. Yes,
Well, here
movement.
in New Orleans, we have a twerk out,
Absolutely,
a whole culture built around
absolutely. I love New
shake
Orleans.
culture is a
Yes,
thing
all
here.
of that.
Yes. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for trusting this space, trusting me with your story, for sharing yourself in this space. And I know somebody is going to be freed by hearing you share your story.
That's wonderful.
Yes. So I
Thank you.
want to
Thank you
thank
for
you
having me.
for your time. We have been going for a little bit of a while.
Yeah, I got you.
A little while. So I'm not going to keep the audience any longer. I want to
Okay.
thank you all for being here. Make sure to engage in the comments, share
Hmm.
what your thoughts are on what you heard here. If something resonated with you, we would love to hear about it.
For
And
sure.
I'll say good night, y'all.
Bye. Thank you.